Hello, Nigel. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Casualty Connect, our video series featuring experts on the use of AI and the P&C insurance industry. Nigel, you have more than 30 years of claims management experience in P&C at Chief Claims Officer level, and both in insurance, reinsurance, domestic, and international. In our previous portion of the video, we covered different aspects, mostly on which areas of P&C do you think AI is most appropriate? What are the key challenges for implementation? Let's go back to maybe what do you think are or should be the main goals and target for AI in claims?
Well, thank you, Frank. Pleasure being here. For me, I think the overall goal really is really to kind of create a data-informed claims operation. And what I mean by that is to really be focused on being better, smarter, right, and quicker in getting to the ultimate outcome of a claim. All right. The other thing I would say is that you also want to, as a goal, to create what I call a robust feedback loop, right, which enhances collaboration. Oftentimes, when you hear about the life cycle of a claim, everyone always talks about the first notice of loss to the settlement or maybe subrogation potential. But to me, a claim doesn't end there. It's really about that feedback, using the data that you've obtained, the analysis from AI, your own personal lessons learned from a particular claim. How can I use that data to feed information back to loss control, risk management, underwriting, actuaries, the executive team, your reinsurers, and everybody else? And so when you're looking in terms of outcomes, you really want to be able to target the outcomes from that goal. And what I would say with that is, for example, with leakage, right? The average claims leakage is about 5 to 15% of indemnity spent. And oftentimes that is caused by inconsistent decision making by the adjusters. It's also caused by manual processes that generally run on outdated systems that you have, which are prone to human error. And so getting predictive analytics and AI involved will help to kind of compress that and mitigate that, if you will. For loss control can be reduced as well by fraud management. AI is very good in terms of taking a lot of data from different cases, looking for trends, and trying to identify fraud early in the process of the game, which is going to help to reduce your loss control as well.
Very interestingly, you identify different sources of improvement or potential improvement, all based on claims data, but not only for claims management. You said also for underwriting, for patient safety and risk management. So coming back now to the implementation, of course, we have many ambition and maybe some of this ambition is not so easy to implement. So in your experience, how has been the implementation results in AI and data analytics in claims operations?
Frank, I think when we first met, I was explaining to you that the way we came across evaluations is the process was we use our experience, our judgment, our memory, and built-in biases, if you will. Um, and we were just in the process of taking that to the next step. And the next step really was trying to force claim professionals to show they work, right? And look, I've been around for a very long time. You put a claim in front of me, I'll go through my data banks in my head, and I said, this case is worth $250,000, right? The difficulty is in showing the work. How do I arrive at that 250? And so we developed a worksheet to be able to do that for bodily injury cases. And that worksheet was a great step because not only did you have to show your work, how do I arrive at the $250,000 valuation? But it was also a good training tool because you're then able to show that to lesser experienced claims professionals. The problem with that system is, as good as it was, it's a manual process. And so when I first met you and you introduced me to Agatha, I recall saying to you, Frank, that this is a bodily injury worksheet on steroids.
I remember
And
well.
right. And what I meant by that was once again, we're using a worksheet. It worked well for us, but it was a manual process. It was a lot slower. It didn't provide us the ability of running through a lot of different scenarios because it was so manually intensive. But with Agatha, I can run through many scenarios at a push of a button. For example, if the claimant did have the surgery, how's that going to impact the evaluation? If there was a change in venue, does that change the exposure in that particular case? If there's a lawyer change, right? So all these factors, if they change, I could sit there and at a push of the button, run all those different scenarios to see how that would change the outcome of the claim. Once again, something quite difficult to do with a manual process.
Uh, Nigel, can you come back to what could be the top three best practices when a claim adjuster is supposed to present their cases to the executive management? What would be your top three advices?
Yeah, what I would say about best practices in a sense of AI is number one, let's kind of backtrack a second. I'm not a big fan. I'm no longer a big fan of the term best practices. And this is why. We are in a completely different environment with AI. Best practice to me is go through my data back to say, okay, I've done it 10 different ways in the past, which is the best way of doing that? And to me, even the best way of things I've done in the past may no longer be a good practice today. So I think the terminology, number one, should be shift from best practice to the next practice, right?
Ah, interesting.
And what I would say in terms of the process is when you want to implement AI, first try to really identify the problem you're trying to solve, right? If it's a severity issue I'm having, then how is AI going to help me with that, right? And so you need to identify the data that you need to help you solve the problem that you're looking to solve. And oftentimes, I find that we try to jump into AI without knowing what the problem is. And if you don't know what the problem is, then what data do you need? So that goes out the window as well. I would also say you need to prepare your systems, your process, and your people through training to help them to be able to adapt AI. Because once again, it's a collaboration between using data analytics and the claim professionals. That's something that still needs to be trained and developed to be able to do that as well.
Okay, thank you. So this was mainly at the claims level and between the management and their claims rep or claims adjusters. Now, what about more at the company level? What should be the most important focus for a P&C insurance carrier?
To me, it doesn't matter which company you're working for. If you were having a meeting with the executive team and the CEO's there and the COO's there and the CFO is in attendance, I often put things into four buckets, right? And the four buckets are the following with competencies. Profitability. I have never met a CEO or a CFO that's not talking about profitability, right? So how does that impact? Efficiencies, right? Looking to reduce expenses, litigation management, and then customer service. And so in terms of profitability, claims quality management allows for real time and a deeper understanding of the loss using AI. And having that additional data in conjunction with the claim professional are going to lead to better outcomes and produce better results, which is going to help your bottom line. In terms of efficiencies, using automation to streamline that claims process, it's going to free up the claim professional's time to focus in on those things that could really drive the outcomes of a claim. And litigation management, right? AI is able to take a lot of documents and draft documents and extract information from them. And by able to do that, it can provide you with insights about judges, about venues, about experts, a lot of different things that as a human being, we don't have the mental capacity to keep all those data points together. We think we do, but oftentimes we do not. And then customer service. If you think about it, the customer is used to getting information at a push of a button. I often use my example with Amazon, and their customer service, in my opinion, is so good that I end up buying too much, even things I don't need. Because I can order online and I can track exactly where that package is to the second that it lands in my front door. And that's something that customers expect from claims. If I report a claim into you, they want to have the ability to be able to track that claim online until that claim is settled. And so using AI and automation helps them to be able to achieve that objective.
Thank you. So we see clearly how you link the implementation of AI, data analytics to the results, the efficiency, the profitability, and customer service. Now, it's not an offense to say to our audience that insurance industry is in general a very low risk or risk averse industry. In this particular environment, what could be the recommendations in order to implement smoothly AI?
The first thing I think in terms of things you should do is really define your clear objectives. What are you trying to accomplish? What are your goals? And make that extremely clear to yourself and to your organization as well. The second thing I would say is use high quality data. Because garbage in is garbage out. So you want to make sure that the data is accurate, that it's relevant, that it's unbiased. So that's very important to the process. Then you want to have the ability to really test and refine what you're doing to make sure it's actually working and achieving the objectives that you're trying to achieve. And then you need to really address any type of ethical considerations. Because at the end of the day, you still have to make sure that you're not in violation of any privacy laws or security laws as well.
Thank you very much, Nigel. May I add that AI is only a tool and technology will never replace leadership. So AI comes in support of leadership and not the other way around. Thank you again. So that was Nigel Shepard, Chief Claim Officer, and I am Frank Giaoui, the CEO and founder of Optimalex. This was our Casualty Connect series, videos on AI and P&C insurance industry. See you soon. Thank you very much.